Now, didn't you also do that when the fields used to flood, and you said that the carp were better when it was flooded? Was that you that used to say that or do that?
No, I never fished for them when the fields were flooded, but I remember a lot of times when the Wabash was flooded that you would have so many carp that wouldn't make it back to the river. I mean, the field would just be loaded with it. And you remember when we were walking the woods of our farm in Cayuga, Indiana. Remember that?
Oh yeah.
When we were walking the edges of within 100 yards or so from the river, and you would see the ground caked and everything because it receded back, and you'd see the carcasses of the fish still on
The best
ground.
fertilizer known to man. That's why the river bottoms are so fertile.
That's true. It
That's
is.
one
As long
reason.
as you know, flooding is a good thing. It's not a bad thing as far as nature is concerned.
That's right.
I mean, we just don't like it the way it is now because of that's a whole different story. But when we started putting more and more dams up is when the flooding started getting worse and worse and worse.
That's right.
Because the water used to spread out, and you would only have it would be flooded for a vast area, but it wouldn't be very deep. Today, the flooding is not as widespread, but the water is deep in the flooded area because
Now,
of the
did you and your stepdad, did you guys ever catch a lot more fish when it was flooded, or did you catch fewer fish? How did that work? Because there are floods everywhere now.
My stepdad did not like to go in flooded water. He didn't even like it when the water was up. Like I know a lot of times some fishermen love it when the water's up on a river, especially fishing the backwater area. We didn't fish any backwater area. We fished the river itself. And if it was what he determined would be muddy, brown in color, because that was the color of the soil around where we fished, he wouldn't go. He would wait till the water greened up.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I never heard that before.
Yeah, he liked the color of that water green before he would go.
Wow. Sounds like he was pretty particular, but I bet you he caught a few thousand catfish in his life.
Oh my God.
A few thousand cats with a few thousand beers, right?
Oh yeah.
No, he was one hell of a guy, and if you ever wanted to, from dawn until dusk, just like the show, man, just go fishing with Uncle Red. That's all you gotta do.
He was a man. He's what I would determine as a man's man, in my opinion. You know, I mean, he was one tough SOB.
Yes, he was.
We went rabbit hunting 2 weeks before he died. I mean, and he couldn't hardly breathe with lung cancer.
Oh, and it was really bad cancer too. I mean, his lungs were completely destroyed.
You got that right. I mean, they thought that that's another story, but he ended up passing away of lung cancer at age 57. But we went fishing and hunting right up to the time that he died. That's the only good thing about where we used to live. I mean, where I grew up is the fact that I was fishing in February, late February in the river when the ice would leave. You know, I mean, by then we'd be going down the river when the air temperature was 40 degrees in our Carhartts because it was so damn cold going up up the river. You know, I mean, we would go. You remember Larry Whittemire? I mean, he's gone.
No, I know none of the listeners know him.
Well, I know, but I'm talking. I'm getting a habit of just talking to you instead of the other listeners.
That's right. That's fine.
But, he was one of my stepdad's friends, and it was his boat that we were using and everything. But it was his ponds that you were fishing in with your boots, your snakeskin boots.
Oh, okay. I remember now. Now, there's another thing that I remember that's very important, and that's Indiana is absolutely loaded with ticks. And,
oh, my.
And I'm noticing, because I've had a little bout with ticks this last year that was pretty bad. But you have members of your family that have just been diagnosed with Lyme disease. And I'm telling you, the ticks are worse than I've ever seen them. So what do you think we should keep in mind or just be aware of?
Well, the big thing is when you think about Lyme disease, I mean, my family members who got Lyme disease, they contracted it in Iowa. My wife and my daughter both have it now. And Lyme disease is something that is very, very controversial, and not only how it can be caught, how you can get it, but also where you can get it. And I would like the listeners to understand that I don't care if you live in a city. I mean, when I was there, when I've been there many times and fishing with you and found so many secluded spots, well, you know for yourself the number of deer that get hit especially in the suburbs. I mean, the deer come right down, and it seems like in a residential area, eating the apples out of an apple tree or whatever, or corn that somebody's put out for squirrels, and the deer will get it, and they'll find it, and then they'll keep coming back to it. My point is that ticks are absolutely everywhere. Every state in the union has ticks. I don't care where you're talking about.
We just had a guest chat, and they asked, can you get Lyme disease from the forest preserves?
Yes, without a doubt, you can get Lyme disease in the forest preserves.
Even if they spray.
Even if they spray, yes, because they're not going to kill 100% of them. You know how many ticks could possibly be in a 100-yard square? Hundreds of thousands, if not millions of ticks in that kind of an area.
And you have done the research, and you are a degreed professional, and you know how to get into a subject, and you've been studying Lyme disease for several years now, haven't you?
Yes, I have for about 3 years now, and some days I wish I didn't know what I've learned since I've started studying it. And I would recommend anybody who's in the outdoors on a regular basis, whether they're working in the outdoors as a farmer or somebody living in the suburbs but goes fishing and hunting, to do research on how Lyme disease how it can be transmitted, because and where it can be transmitted. If I was doing it the right way, if I was wearing shorts, I would make sure every single time I was wearing shorts when I went fishing that I was loaded with tick repellent. Not just mosquito repellent, but make sure it's got a tick repellent component as well. The more deep, the better. Sometimes you can't buy that kind of stuff in this environmental conscious society we live in today, but you can get it. I mean, I can get the best stuff is this stuff I get out of Minnesota, which is better. It comes in a little red bottle called Ben's. That's the best stuff I've ever used. Well,
I've been finding that the Deep Woods Off with DEET is definitely keeps them away. So that's good to know.
That's good. I'll tell you this much though, Ben's beats that what you
How
just.
How do you spell that?
BENS.
Oh, Ben's. I thought you said Ben's. Okay.
Oh, Ben's. It comes in a little red bottle. I mean, and it doesn't take much. You put it on your hand and you spread it out. I mean, it don't take much at all. But as far as I'm concerned, that's the best stuff. I mean, but if you're going out and you're wearing short sleeves, you better put that stuff on if you're going fishing. And if you're, the preferable way would be to wear pants.
Are you listening, P. Woody? He said, don't wear shorts when you go to Lake Harrier.
Yeah, don't wear shorts when it comes right down to it. The best way would be to wear pants, and even tuck your goddamn pant legs into your socks. I mean, it's not. Lyme disease is getting worse and worse and worse, and the media is only touching at the very fringes of the problem. I mean, and the number of ticks that actually have Lyme disease, it's not one in 100,000 or whatever. In some areas, it depends on the given area, the given woods that you're talking about. But in some really massively infected areas, you could have 40 to 60% of the ticks that are in that woods or forest with Lyme.
Wow!
And just think of that, walking through an infested area with hundreds of thousands of ticks, and over half of them have Lyme disease.
Hey, why don't you give them some symptoms that have been shown up in your neck of the woods?
Oh, well, there's a total of 83 symptoms of Lyme disease. And the problem with Lyme is, the main problem with Lyme is the fact that it masks a lot of other things. So say, for instance, like arthritic pain. It may not actually be arthritis. It could be directly related to Lyme disease. neurological disorders that your balance. If for some reason or another, if you've been say you're an outdoorsman, and for some reason or another you cannot keep your balance anymore. You seem to fall over.
Oh my God, that's describing me.
Going to the bathroom when you get up, you have to hang onto the walls even though you're not hung over. You know what I mean? We all know myself hung over, but have that feeling every time you get up. Say, for instance, memory issues.
I forgot about that one.
It's not necessarily age. I mean, I have a hard time remembering what I've learned, and I have a hard time speaking, as you probably already can tell. My sentences do not flow off the tip of my tongue. I have to stop and think about what I want to say, and sometimes I goof up and say the exact opposite thing I want to say. Because I have never been tested personally, but because of I understand the symptoms, I believe that I probably have it as well.
Yeah, because your other house had some tick issues, didn't it?
Oh my God, we would have during one 3-day period in the spring of 2010, we had probably 24 ticks in the house.
Jeez. And they will, you come in from the woods and you forget to,
Well, yeah, I mean that's the other thing. That's the other, okay. We talked about what you do before you go into the woods. Now what do you do when you come out of the woods? You need to do a self-inspection, or better yet, have somebody else inspect your head and, really every inch of you if you could. But, I understand how impractical that is. But at the same time, the preference would be to do an inspection of yourself every time that you leave a wooded area or a prairie area either. You don't have to be in woods in order to get ticks, especially when it's wet. Because after a hard rain, what the ticks will do, they'll move from the deepest recesses of the woods toward the prairie, and they'll go out into the prairie, a good distance to get away from that extreme moisture that's been in the woods after a hard rain. And then when it dries up, then they'll go back into the woods.
I can't believe the time is flying by. And before we end, I wanted to see if you were going to be able to make it to Chicagoland area, to DuPage County, for the Herrick Lake Challenge on July 14th.
Well, I wish I could, but I have 4 doctor's appointments next week.
Oh, boy.
And
it's all tick-related, probably.
One of them is. My wife's.
Well,
one of them is.
Yeah, but what I was getting at, if you are able to, definitely register on DuPageAngler.com and sign up for the challenge. DuPage Angler Fluke is setting up yet another fishing challenge, and it's going to be at Herrick Lake this time. You do have to be a member of DuPageAngler.com, and there's going to be 10 two-man teams this time. It's not a real big challenge, but it's a blast. And we're also going to throw in a couple of curveballs, because we're going to have 2 panfish and 2 bass limits. So we never had a panfish limit with a bass challenge before. It's going to be kind of interesting. And we just got some prizes. If you guys like the wacky rig worms, we have some really cool tools we're going to have for prizes and all kinds of neat stuff. So definitely get registered. And hey, Possum Belly, thanks for coming on. And I'm thinking very seriously of asking you to become the Lyme disease admin, because I think it's very serious, and we need to put out just as much info as we possibly can about it, because people just don't know about it enough.
No, they don't know about it enough. And then, I could go on and on about Lyme disease until your ears bleed, but and you want to put your heads under your cover and never come out again and never go outside again.
Well, you know what? Next time what we'll do when we have you on, we want to have you do that to us about fishing, because I'll tell you what, fishing in the hills, you can still use the same techniques here. And I think a lot of people will totally get into it. And I hope to see you on the rivers, and hope to see you on DuPageAngler.com real soon. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Okay, we're not broadcasting, but don't hang up, okay? I got to do something before.
Okay.
That was pretty damn good, man. You're awesome. Dude, I'm telling you.